Well, hi, you are joining us on a fun Discovery Mountain field trip. And as you can see, we're in a big open space, a big building, and we have a surprise for you. Well, as you've been listening to Discovery Mountain, you've gotten to know the Simon family, you've gotten to know some of the teachers and students at Discovery Mountain Academy, and there's someone else really special in Discovery Mountain, and that's Blue Birdie. Well, our surprise today is we are going to meet a real-life plane just like Blue Birdie, and that's a de Havilland Beaver plane. So come on over here with me. This beautiful plane is owned by Larry Romrell. Thank you, Larry, for letting us come and meet her.
Welcome.
And as you know, Director Doug is a pilot. He knows a lot more about planes than I do. And so Director Doug, you and Larry are going to take us around
Absolutely.
and let us get to know this beautiful airplane. Thank you.
Right, that's right. Yeah, as I've shown you before, I've shown you my plane, which is a very tiny plane. This is a completely different type of aircraft, and we're going to look at the details of this plane and tell you a little bit about it. Larry, why don't you tell us a bit about your plane?
Okay, it's a de Havilland Beaver. It was built in 1956. It was shipped, purchased immediately by African Airway.
Oh, spent time overseas.
Yeah, it was in Zambia. And,
wow.
And then, so they flew it for a little while, and then it was conscripted to their army, and they put bombs into the wings. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, two 500-pound bombs, and they flew it, and then they wrecked it, and it came back to the United States to Kenmore Air, where they overhauled it.
And how long have you owned it?
I've owned it 12 years.
12 years, okay. Now, I think you had told us that at one time it was on floats. Now you have it on wheels. How long did you have it on floats? Did you do much back bush flying on the floats?
I did. I flew it on floats for about a year when I first bought it. I was going to leave it in Alaska or Seattle on floats, but I missed the airplane, so I had, when I bought the airplane, it came with wheels, so I put the wheels on, left the floats up there.
Now, apparently you were saying in Colorado you're not allowed to land on water.
That's right. It's against the regulations in Colorado only, as far as I know, that you can't land on water.
And since that's where you live, not much point of having the floats, you'll never get to fly the airplane.
Yeah.
One thing I had mentioned, I had showed the viewers of our program earlier in my plane was the size of the cockpit. I have 2 seats, very tight cockpit. Why don't you show us inside here, and how many will this seat?
Well, there's right now it doesn't have the aft seat in. The rear seat seats 3.
Okay.
3 people there, 3 people here, and then the 2 in the pilot's.
Okay. Oh, excellent. Well, now, how far can you fly this plane? It fully loaded with all the fuel on. What's your range?
It's 5 hours, so I stop if I go to Seattle. I stop in Twin Falls for fuel, and then on direct to Seattle.
And how many gallons is that?
It's 138 gallons, but you have to have reserve.
138 gallons. So you're running 10 times the fuel they have in my plane.
Right.
I don't know if you guys remember, but my little airplane, 13 gallons of fuel. So you're running 10 times the fuel and obviously burning it much more quickly.
25 gallons an hour.
25 gallons an hour. Mine's 3.5 gallons an hour. So it's a big, big difference. And when you're burning that much fuel, obviously you're developing a lot of power. In my airplane, it's a tiny little 4-cylinder, produces 100 horse. What engine do you have in this? Why don't we go around and take a look at it?
Okay.
So this is a completely different looking engine than mine. Mine's a little flat engine, has like 4 cylinders.
Yeah.
What type of engine is it, and how much power?
This is called a Radial Engine. It was common during the war. This airplane was actually designed for a World War II airplane. And so it's radial, it's 9 cylinders, and has a unique sound.
Which we'll hear later.
Yeah, they don't build round engines much anymore, but it's pretty unique, but it's a great engine.
What's the horsepower?
It's 450 horsepower, supercharged.
Right, because in these planes, these bush planes, you want to be able to get off the water or off the short airstrips in a hurry. You need lots of power to do that. Now, you said this plane was built back in the 50s.
Yes.
But you've done some modifications to it that aren't exactly something you could get in the 50s. And one of the things I want to show everyone watching is you've put in basically the equivalent of a night vision system, so you can land in really bad weather or at night where there's no lights on the runway.
Yes.
How does that work, and where are the cameras on the plane that allow that to happen?
I'll show you. Well, what we have here is night vision and ultraviolet. So I can be in pitch darkness and land in an area that it actually looks as black and white, but you see all of the peripheral, the trees, the runway, you see the buildings and so on very well. I used to wear a night vision helmet here and land, but that was awkward because you had to have it steady and so on. But so I can just turn that camera on. I don't do it often.
Well, that's more for emergency situations, right? If you get yourself in a, you end up arriving after dark when you didn't plan to, and you're still able to get down
or
safely.
in a fog, yeah. In Seattle, there's a lot of fog, and I've been in and out of Painfield a lot when it was pretty foggy.
And it cuts right through the fog,
right?
Just because of the infrared. Wow, wow, excellent. Well, I think we're going to tow this plane out and start it up so we can hear some of the sound.
Right.
We're also going to take a look inside the plane at the instrument panel, at some of the controls, which again are completely different from my simple airplane. But thanks a lot for showing it to us here, and we'll get it out and take a look inside.
Sure.
All right, we've pulled the plane out, and we're going to do some run-ups here in a little bit to get the engine sound recorded so we can use it on the program. But first, we're going to take a look inside the airplane and show you the instrument panel, which is much bigger and way more complicated than my little plane. I'm really looking forward to that. So let's get inside and take a look.
Load up.
Okay, so we've climbed in the de Havilland Beaver here. We're going to take a look at the instrument panel. Actually on camera today, you can see the camera guy back here. That's actually Ruben Gomez, who plays Jake Donovan. And so thanks, Ruben, for doing this. That's great. And Larry, why don't you just give us a quick overview of the primary instruments you have in this panel, which again is way more high-tech than what I'm used to, and it looks pretty impressive. What do we have here for the main instruments?
Okay, starting over on the left, this is a pilot's primary instrument. It shows the horizon, the blue sky is above, and since we're on a tail dragger, this little wing thing is pointing a little above the horizon.
To the sky, yeah.
But so you keep that in the air level, and then this is your instrument that guides you. If I have a GPS program in here to various waypoints, it shows me whether I'm off that waypoint or not. It also will take me on instrument landing. If I am in the fog, then I can land by this instrument.
Right.
This is just a map of the terrain.
Where you are, and again, shows airports, and it's a specific map for aviation. So stuff that you need to know as a pilot. This would be...
This is on map now, but it has a variety of things. So that's map. This is traffic. If another airplane comes over, I'll turn it on and you'll see it move across.
Oh, wow.
So you can avoid traffic. And this is weather. And it would show if there's storms coming in, it'll show lightning, it'll show the rain and so on.
Sure.
So you got a variety of things here that you can do. So up on this panel we have the throttle and the propeller pitch and the mixture of the fuel. This is the manifold pressure. It shows me what kind of engine power we're making. This is the RPMs. And then this is a radar altimeter. It tells me how high I am above the ground. So it'll go up to, if I'm 2,000 feet and below, then I can tell where I am. And again, most of these instruments are when you can't see out, is when they're useful. This is just a backup to the big one that shows our navigation course and a lot of information as you're flying. This is a roll bank indicator, and it shows when you're turning how much you're banking. You don't want to go too far.
Right.
And then again, in the clouds, you get disoriented, and so you usually do a half bank.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very important.
Exactly. Oh, excellent.
And then the fuel gauges are down here.
For the three
temperatures, engine temperatures, and the 3 tanks.
And then for the main flight controls, you've got the yoke here, which is a little different than mine. I had the control stick. This basically does the same thing. When I would move my control stick to the left, you do that by moving the yokes left and right. And when I was moving my control stick back and forth, as I was demonstrating the other video, that's just pulling back and forth the yokes. But the principles are all the same. This is just definitely a much more sophisticated airplane. Well, thank you very much. That's excellent. That's really cool. And we'll get the thing started up here and get some of the sounds. And great. Thank you very much. We're not able to go flying today, but we're going to taxi around the runway, just get a little feel for the airplane. Hi, Gene.
Hey, hi Larry. Looks like you guys are having a lot of fun today.
We sure were.
So how was that, Doug?
That was excellent. My first experience with the Havilland Beaver. It was wonderful.
Awesome, wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Larry. We have had so much fun
You're
out here
welcome.
today, getting to know your beautiful de Havilland Beaver plane.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, and if you haven't yet met Blue Birdie in Discovery Mountain, you have to come and visit her. You'll get to know that she is George Simon's oldest friend and Jake Donovan's new friend, and that's at discoverymountain.com. Thanks for watching.